Growing revenue, increasing profitability, and obtaining financing are the results of running your small business like a pro.
This is really the path to achieving the success that most entrepreneurs and business owners are looking to achieve. But it's a path where most people get stuck between step one and step two.
Businesses close every day because their owners were not able to create a successful, sustainable enterprise. If you do not create an enterprise, the only way that you can sell your business successfully is you sell yourself with it.
This book is a common sense guide for learning how to run your small business as a professional enterprise.
You can pick up the book as a new entrepreneur or as a seasoned entrepreneur and get something out of it. It's very educational.
It provides a fundamental understanding of the challenges small businesses face with real-world solutions that drive results.
Life examples of what happens in business with cash flow, handling money, very, very accurate, and they were experiences that I've had.
Structure. If I do a shoot, I know that there are certain steps that I have to take to get me to where I need to go. But when it comes to business, I didn't have the same sense of what needed to be done. Andrew helped me see systems or steps we take to grow a business. So he's helped systematize it.
I worked with a client who was looking to retire and sell his business and expected to get over $500,000 for it. However, when I assessed the business and looked to figure out what the value was, it was less than $100,000. Why was this? Because he didn't create an enterprise. The business was centered around him, and without him, there wasn't a business. This book helps you to understand how to create an enterprise where it can run successfully without you.
Get your copy today. Andrew Frazier's new book online at www.runningyoursmallbusinesslikeapro.com. Also available on Amazon.
Yep.
Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the Power Breakfast. I'm your host, Andrew Frazier. My phone alarm's going off, but we got it under control. So, welcome to the first Power Breakfast of 2023. We're excited about a lot of great things we have going on for the new year, and just want to introduce them to you. So, the Power Breakfast. First, welcome. We've got our slate there, and we've got some great sponsors. Alan, he's from Pay Media. They do payroll, do great things. Of course, Riley Kai Capital, I do a lot of work with. We've got M&T. I don't think they're here yet. We've got Lakeland. They're going to be here for the afternoon. And we've got Mark Lewis, Beautiful Nightlight Securities, and really working with better businesses on the lot protection and
Good.
succession planning. So, okay.
It was good, but you put it on.
Here's what the Power Breakfast is all about. 11 years ago, we started out in the Newark Club as a way to just bring small entrepreneurs together and a very diverse group of small entrepreneurs to really support and develop and work together, sharing each other's success. So what we do is we focus on helping you learn, focus on best practices, because as a business owner, there's so many things you need to know that it's not really possible to know them all, so you have to continually learn. So we have an educational component. We also have great networking. If you're not in the room, you're not going to benefit as much. So we invite you to if you're in the area. But we have some tremendous people in the room here, and looking forward to a great day. And then, of course, we want you to gain useful knowledge. You can learn from each other. Our speakers are tremendous, so looking forward to that as well. And last year we finished 10 years, and combined through all of them, we've had more than 1,500 attendees. We've gotten over $10 million in direct result of the events and over $20 million in new business generated for people who have attended the events. So that's why we call it the Power Breakfast. And it started out as a breakfast, but now it's a Power Breakfast and conference. So excited about this year. We have 2 social impact partners through the Small Business Pro University, Small Business Life Pro. One of them is Rising Tide Capital, and Trinidad is from Rising Tide Capital. They do great things for entrepreneurs and small businesses, and we got graduates of their program here in the room today. And then Empower the Village. They do great things as well. Cheryl was here last night, and she'll be back sometime today as well. So you get to learn more about them and what they do as well. So today, first we're going to have Melinda Emerson, president of Small Biz Ladies Enterprises, and really dynamic speaker, coach, consultant, trainer, and expert in the small business space. After that, we've got leveraging ecosystems for relationships and opportunities as our next panel. From there, these are our panelists. So we've got distinguished people from the area in different parts of the ecosystem. For lunch, I'll be talking a little bit more about cash flow. So one of my favorite topics, and very important topic in this year especially. Last panel is going to be achieving breakthrough results and really focus on personal development and preparing you for greater success. And then these are our panelists. We've got a great panelist, a great team of people here. You may recognize some of them in the room. And then, this is what Small Business Pro University is about. So as you may know, I've written a couple books. They're available here or online. So definitely check them out if you're interested. One other thing we do every week is we do a live stream, Leadership Live at 8:05 and 8 p.m. Every Tuesday we have some great guests, and we just talk about small business, key things that would be helpful for small business owners to know. So we've got several people who have been participating, and we've been doing it for over 2.5 years. So every week. So we've had some great guests and great conversations. And finally, one of my newest initiatives, and we're in the process of launching it, is really the Small Business Pro Network. So think of it as an online version of the Power Breakfast. So it gives you an opportunity to learn best practices, gives you a chance to network and connect with others, and it gives you a chance to gain useful knowledge. So it's a great platform for connecting. There's no cost to join the basic level of the platform, and we'll be rolling it out and launching it. But if you want to sign on early, you got the email, sbpronetwork.com. This morning, we've got special guest, Melinda Emerson, and she's the small business. And, excited to get her up here from Philly. She made some time for us to come hang out, and very excited. So welcome, Melinda. And
good morning, everybody. Good morning. Oh, y'all can do a little bit better than that. Good morning, everybody.
Good morning.
All right. I love being the opening keynote speaker for events because mornings are my jam, right? So I'm so excited to talk to you guys today because this is a critical time in business. It is January, right? So this is the time when you set what's going to happen for the rest of the year. And so I'm going to talk to you guys about the different aspects of business and how we can tighten them up. So I'm so excited to talk to you all today about what I like to call the 12 keys of running a successful business. Because in any business, there are 12 key functioning systems of a business. And so we're going to go through that. But first, before we do that, I just want to tell you a little bit about my background. I am from Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania originally, but I have lived in Philadelphia 25 years. So I have something to say to you guys. ELGS. So it doesn't matter what happens on Sunday because the Eagles can beat anyway. So I just thought I'd give that public service announcement. But the other thing too is I'm an international keynote speaker, best-selling author. I'm a college professor. I teach entrepreneurship at Drexel University in Philadelphia, but I also have my own online school, Small Biz Lady University, and I am so excited to have the opportunity to talk to you guys about this. I have a weekly podcast called the Small Biz Chat Podcast, and I have a huge blog called succeedasyourownboss.com. And I point that out because I've written over 5,000 articles about how to start and grow a successful small business on my blog. So if you go there and go to my search bar, put in anything. We've written about it. So I want to make sure that you guys know about all of the great resources that we have. And in my spare time, I also have a marketing consulting firm, and I work with Fortune 500 brands that target the small business market. So in the last 23 years, I've had the opportunity to work with over 150 corporate brands. And some of these companies I'm sure you've heard of, like Visa, Verizon, American Express, Amazon, HP, Google. Those are some of the clients that I've had the opportunity to work with and be a national spokesperson for. So I'm really excited to have the opportunity to talk to you all today about my favorite subject, small business excellence. So let's get into it. So here's the first question that I have for you all today. How many of you guys remember why you started your business? Tell me. Kevin, why did you start your business?
I started my business in 2015, third run at it. I got squeezed out of corporate America.
Right.
Aged out.
Right. So you were like, I got to figure something else out. Right? What about you? Why did you start your business?
Because I was impatient and frustrated with people who had expertise and not being willing to do anything about it. So I moved them out of their way and showed them how to brand and market their businesses.
Love it. She saw a need in the marketplace. Who else? Tell me why you started your business. Nobody knows why you started your business. Why'd you start your business?
I wanted to help create more vibrancy and empowerment in the small business community.
Excellent. So it's tell me, why did you start yours?
I realized the need of the Spanish community for soft skills training for entrepreneurs, and that's how I started in 2017.
Love it. I think there's a lot of people that need soft skills training. not just entrepreneurs, but we'll talk about that. That's a sidebar conversation. It's important to remember our why, because it is so hard to run a business. But you have to go back to your why. It's really important. We're going to talk about that. But let's talk about the realities of what is going on right now. And this might be a newsflash for some of you, but we're in a recession. And if you haven't felt it yet, you will. I've actually reached out to 2 of my customers that paid us money last year and got a response that they no longer work with those companies. This already happened in January. So if you haven't started to feel the recession yet, you will soon. Here's the other thing. Has your business changed yet as a result of it? Or have you thought about how it needs to? Because I don't know how many of you guys have been in business, but 2008, 2009 was a rough 2 years for small business. And 2020 wasn't super great, and you guys kind of know about what happened with that. But we're about to be back to 2009 this year. So we all need to prepare. Just like, animals prepare for winter, they store up food and stuff, we have to do that as well. And so it's about, the thing that's good about recessions and tough times, though tough times make tough folks. But it's important for you to think about what you can innovate now, because things are changing, because things are tightening, because if you sell something that's non-essential, it's going to be that much harder to convince somebody to part with their money right now. So it's really important for us to be thinking about, what do you want now? But also, what do you want 3 to 5 years from now? What is the innovation that you can create in your business right now that could be beneficial to you 3 to 5 years from now? Because it's not about thinking about what your customer needs right now. It's about thinking about your customer's future needs. How can you get in front of and partner with your customers so that you can help them think about what they're going to need in the future and you be that answer? So here's the thing. Nobody's business is ever fixed. Just like we as people are works in progress, so is your business. So we're going to talk about how you can tighten things up. So, but here's the awesome thing about being an entrepreneur, right? We live how most people won't. So we can live how most people can't, right? You guys know about that 3 to 5 year upfront hazing process that's involved in starting a business? Y'all know about that. Some of y'all living there right now. Some of y'all ain't out of that. Some of y'all had to revert back to that, right? Because you got knocked down, had to build your business back up again, right? 23 years. I can tell you all about it. 2 t-shirts, right? I can tell you all about it. But what I will still say is I still wouldn't go back. I haven't had a paycheck job in 23 years. I'm unemployable, right? So you still have to figure out how you're going to work it out.
Unemployed.
I am unemployable, absolutely. Nobody want me because I got to be fast. So let's talk about what I call the 12 P's of running a successful business. I hope you have something to write down because I'm a teacher. I'm going to go fast, so let's go. So our first P is preparation. So right now, if this is our, to use a farming analogy, we're planting seeds right now, right? So this is, you have to plant your seeds. So your preparation is about this. I don't think that you don't know what's wrong with your business. What I think is you haven't made the decision that you're going to fix it yet. So you're tolerating that employee that you know is a problem, that you know you need to get rid of, but the pain of replacing them is more than the pain they cause you every day. Or that customer that you cut a deal for, that is your most worrisome, high maintenance customer, that you kind of need to fire, and you know you need to fire as a customer. Because they don't appreciate you, they don't pay you on time. You know, they're snippy when they call you, right? And you know what customer I'm talking about, because all of us have 1 or 2 like that, right? So there's things in your business, like the fact that you hadn't did your taxes in 2 years. Yeah, I'm reading somebody's mail now, I think. Right, so these are things you are tolerating in your business that you know you need to fix. So preparation is about mindset. It's about you deciding you're not going to live like that anymore. So I want you all just to think about what are the 1 or 2, maybe 3 things in your business that it's time to fix. Because that's where it starts. Now, purpose. Purpose is about your mission, your vision, and your passion. That's how we get to purpose. What is your purpose in your business? Now, in my business, my mission is to end small business failure. That's my mission. It's supposed to be big. It's supposed to be something that you're always chasing towards. But my vision was to become America's #1 small business expert. I did that. But I'm still working on my mission, right? But my passion is you guys. My passion is my career. I love entrepreneurs. I love helping entrepreneurs win. That's my favorite thing. I love coaching entrepreneurs, talking about it. I'm like an addict, right? I love it, right? So that's my passion. But passion isn't #2 because sometimes people get confused by passion, right? I'm passionate about music, but I'm not auditioning for The Voice. That's not what I'm doing. Right? Passion isn't enough. Like, have you ever had somebody tell you love isn't enough? You gotta look at the paperwork too, right? You gotta look at the fine print. What's going on with this person? What is their credit score? How do they pay bills? What's going on? What's their relationship with their baby mom? We gotta find out stuff. So my point is that this is just like that. Your mission, your vision, and your passion get you to your purpose. What is your calling in your business? What is your magical power? What is your zone of genius? What is it? What is the real secret sauce in your business? Right? That's what it's about. So it's also about how you position yourself as a leader. It's your communication style, because all of those things set the culture in your business too, right? You create the culture because everybody's looking at you. Everybody's following you. So if you come to work late every day, everybody's going to think that's okay, right? You talk to people any kind of way, that's what people do with your business, right? So you set the culture. So you have to be very, very intentional about that. And your communication style is one of the main ways in which you do that. So we have to think about that. Number 3, people. Now, here's the thing about a business. Without any people, your business can only grow as far as your 2 hands can reach, which isn't real far. So you've got to get some people. But if you have people, you also have a propensity for problems, unless you hire the right people. Now, how many of us that have been in business hired somebody because they needed a job? Oh, just me? Oh, versus them actually being right for the job that you need? How many of us write job descriptions? How many of us interview more than 3 candidates for any one position? Okay, some of y'all. The rest of y'all, okay. I see y'all, right? So the point is that we have to tighten up how we do things so that we get better results with our employees, right? Because a lot of times what happens, we hire people and we throw them the keys and say, good luck, right? We don't onboard people. One of the things we can take from corporate America is people do need onboarding, right? And depending on the job they're doing for you, that might need 2-3 months of onboarding and training. You can't hire a salesperson and think they're going to save your business. You have to have a plan for your salesperson. You have to have a sales process before you hire a salesperson. You have to have CRM software for your salesperson to use. Too many of us, I hire you, Andrew, save my business. You can't do that if you can't tell him the vision and articulation of the business. You can't do that if you can't articulate who your target customer is. Or do you even have a target list of customers you're trying to chase, right? So a lot of times we get upset because people don't perform well in our businesses. But guess what? It's our fault. Because we didn't set them up for success. We didn't give them a job description. We didn't give them goals. We didn't give them tools. And expected them to go out here and do magic and sell for us. Come on. Right? So you have to think through how you're setting your folks up to be successful. The other thing you got to think about too is, what is it like to work for you? Are you a good boss? Are you a bad boss? Are you the kind of boss where everyone knows what kind of day you're having by how you treat people? Is it payroll day and you mad you gotta give out checks and you can't take one? Right? So I also think we have to think about what we're like as bosses. And it's hard because we can put everything on the line for this business. You got a loan you to put a lien to get your house for? It's stressful, right? So, but we always have to remember that we set the culture, the communication style. What kind of boss are you? Are you a coaching leader? Are you a coercive leader? Are you a consensus leader? What kind of leader are you? And sometimes you're a different leader for different employees, right? Because just like your children, they're not all the same. Your employees aren't all the same either. So one of the things you have to think about is, what is your employees' love language? Do they like money? Do they like time off? Do they like recognition? Do they like more work? Do they want to be in charge of something? You have to figure out what it is that motivates this person so that you can keep them engaged. Especially your younger employees. This is really important. You gotta know what their thing is, right? And so you can feed that thing so that you can keep them interested in being a part of your company. There's a lot of stuff that goes on with this people thing, right? And then as soon as you can, you do want to offer people some kind of benefits if you can, because people need that. So you have to figure it out. But a lot of times there's other organizations you can join, like chambers of commerce and things like that, that will make things like health insurance cheaper and things like that. So look at how you can offer some benefits to your employees. The other thing you want to think about too is how can you do some professional development activity for your employees, whether it's paying for a training or even just creating a book club, right? Buying books for everybody and doing lunch and learn once a month is something really small that could be a professional development activity for your team. If you have more resources, offering to pay for a class or a course for your folks is another great perk that you can throw out there. Let's talk about the money. Profit. Profit's how we keep scoring business, isn't it? It's not about what you make, it's about what you keep. But guess what? If you're not charged enough to make anything, when's the last time you looked at your pricing? Do you have a pricing strategy? Or did you price your products based on what your competitor had on their website? You really do have to sit down with your accountant once a year and look at the numbers. How much does it cost you to deliver your product or service? What is the margin you're making year after year? Has your margin grown or shrunk? And what is the margin in your industry? Do graphic design companies typically do 30% margin? If yours did 12, that's an issue. So these are the things you got to be looking at. Profit is about pricing. It's also about looking at what you sell. A lot of times people are trying to sell too much stuff. When's the last time you looked at what's actually selling on your website? What are the top 3 things that are selling? Does it make sense to get rid of the other stuff? Maybe. So you really want to focus on, especially right now, because the economy is tight, and it's only going to get tighter as we roll down the rest of this year. You want to make sure that you are focusing on your best sellers, that you're also focusing on your existing customers, because existing customers buy more when they come back. So let me just give you guys a step. A new prospective customer is 5 to 15% likely to close. An existing customer is 60% likely to buy from you again, and they'll buy more. So let's not get caught up trying to chase new leads. How about we nurture the existing leads that we have? Because that is how you get more profits. And then you also can ask them for referrals to other businesses. Processes. Let's talk about this. Processes are really important. How many of you have documented processes in your business? For everything?
No, for everything.
Okay, I'm impressed.
I won't say everything.
You won't say everything, so we know there's some work that still needs to be done, right? But documenting processes is important. Why? Why is it important to document processes in a business?
We either call it hit by a bus, God forbid, or won the lottery.
Right.
Whatever happens to you, you need to make sure that everything continues.
Absolutely. And what are you going to train your people with? These people that you're going to hire? What you going to train them with if you haven't documented how you like the shirt put in the box with the tissue paper and the sticker on top and 2 pieces of candy? How come if you haven't documented your way, how are you going to teach anybody else?
Also, consistency is key.
Yes.
The person don't want to come on Thursday and get one experience and come again on Monday
Absolutely. Consistency is key, she said. You have to make sure that that hamburger tastes the same every time they come. So it's really important that you have consistency. That's why you also need to document processes. Anybody else got another reason why you need to document?
Efficiency.
Efficiency, absolutely. Absolutely. But let me give you one you might not be thinking about. You need to document the processes in your business so that you can separate queen bee work from worker bee work. If your time is billable at $150, $250 an hour, why would you ever spend it doing $20 to $25 an hour work? Somebody help me with that. How many of y'all are up at night doing invoices? Right? So you've got to think about what is your most valuable use of your time? Is it calling customers, going to see customers, going to trade shows, trying to talk to more new customers? Or is it doing invoicing at night when you get home from that trade show you've been at all day? Right? So we're going to talk about how to automate some of this stuff, how to put this stuff so that you are always doing your most valuable activities. And that you have virtual assistants and automated software that can help with some of that. Yes, Al?
You mentioned a very important piece that we don't cover this, but for small business especially, it's compliance. Compliance with the state, if you're a restaurant, compliance with whatever board you have to be compliant with, because the state is looking at every employee you hire, all the time they work, getting a proper overtime, proper insurance, proper. There's a lot of compliance around your entire company.
Oh yeah. HR is the easiest, fastest way to go to jail, right? People don't realize not paying people's payroll taxes, you will go to jail versus not paying your income tax. You know, the Department of Labor does not play with people at all, right? So what he's saying is very important. You've got compliance things. So back office, your back office of your business has everything to do with this. Also, too, if you ever want to build a business that can run without you, it won't ever happen if you're not documenting your processes. What happens every week? What has to happen every month? What has to happen every quarter? These things need to be documented so that you can put together manuals and stuff. That's what this is for.
I think it's also really important to empower your employees. So you give them, this is how you, okay, and then you let them go, and they'll get feedback. They get it good, they get it bad. You see yourself, you have to tweak it more, right? But they're not dependent on you all the time, waiting for you to tell them what to do.
Oh yeah. Let's talk about that. You know, you have to make sure that you are hiring thinkers versus doers. Because doers will do anything you ask them to do, but they're not going to proactively do anything. But if you hire someone who is a thinker, you want to empower them to think. But you have to be careful, because I will tell you, when I first started my company 23 years ago, I hired doers. I created a culture where you had to come ask mama for anything, right? And then I got pregnant with my son and got put on bed rest and got pulled out of my own business for 6 months. And my business almost completely collapsed in on itself because I had built a business that could not run without me. I was the #1 rainmaker, so when I wasn't there, y'all know what happened. When no rain, right? So it's really important. I learned a very valuable lesson at my own big mistake. It is extremely important to hire thinkers and empower them to think. Because if people get, slapped for coming up with ideas, that doesn't work. The other thing you want to think about too is regular staff meetings are important. Even if you have a bunch of remote employees, setting a weekly staff meeting where everyone knows what's going on and people are reporting in, that is important. But as a business owner, don't just have these meetings where, what are you doing? What are you doing? What are you doing? No, start with yourself. Talk about what you're doing, what you've been working on too, so that no one feels like you always want to kind of make it so that everybody's on an even keel. And Kim, to your point, I'm a big fan of writing a job description and making my team update that job description every 6 months. Is there something else new you're doing? Look at this. Is this still accurate? let's update this. Can I get your help to update it? Sure, they're excited, but then they get scared. They're like, wait a minute, you about to put my job on the street, right? You know? So you want to reassure them, but you do want to empower them to help you keep up with how your business is growing and changing. Now, once you have your processes built, go ahead.
You know, and the other thing about processes is it's almost like the first step to a succession plan, so that your business continues.
I
unless, of
completely
course,
agree.
you know,
She said
sell it
it's
or
the
something.
first step to your succession planning also is processes. Exactly. It goes back to what I'm saying. Like, if you want to be able to take a vacation for a month, could you do that in your business now? With the way your business is set up, with the employees that you have, could you do it? I couldn't do it. Right? So you have to get to that point. I'm working on it though. All right, so once you have your processes, then you can find the productivity tools that can help you automate some of this stuff. So you got to look at what are you doing manually that you can stop doing. You can't even figure that out until you document your processes in your business. So it's really, really important. There's lots of tools out here. There's so many, your head could hurt, right? There's an app for that. So you want to make sure that you look at what you're doing, research. You know, what's great about a lot of the SaaS tools is there's always a free trial for something, right? So they'll give you 3 to 5, 7 days. Test the stuff. See if it works for you. See if it's too complicated. Make sure it integrates with other stuff you're using, right? That's the other thing. You want to use this app, but does this app talk to this app? So make sure the stuff you're looking at integrates with the other stuff. Now, performance. This is really important. What are you measuring in your business? Anybody, tell me, what do you measure in your business?
Everything.
Everything.
Or you should be measuring
Well, you
everything.
should be, but that's what it is.
Sales.
Sales.
New sales, old sales, upselling, losing clients, your employees and your business generate goals.
Sure. But let's go deeper than that, right?
Generate goals and own and manage to the goals, have your employees generate goals to meet your goals.
Yeah, but how about like cost per sale? Cost per lead, right? These are things you should be
And that will
measuring.
help you with your pricing.
Absolutely. The other thing is, how many guys are even measuring like your website? Looking at your Google Analytics every month. What actually drives traffic to your website? Which social media accounts you spending all your time on is actually working for you? Do you know? Are you looking at it? How about email open rate? Then you guys send newsletters? You looking at the open rates on your newsletters? You looking at the click-through rates? Because open rates are fine, but I want to know about your click-through rates. Right? So my point to you is that some of you aren't measuring anything. Some of you are measuring one thing, but are you measuring the right things? Right? We talked about profitability earlier. Are you measuring your profitability year over year? Are the profits growing? Do you know why they're growing? Do you know why they're not growing? Right? So all of this stuff is important when you think about measurement in a business. Because I think the other thing that people do is they do marketing that they don't measure. And marketing that you don't measure is like driving down the street and throwing money out the window. It's useless. So you need to make sure that whatever marketing initiatives you're doing, whether it's social media, whether it's blogging, whether it's buying paid ads on Facebook, I think it's easier to measure things that you're buying ads for, right? But even that, are you checking the click-through? Are you checking the email rate? Are these people buying? That you're spending all this money, and what's your cost per click on your ads? And is it in alignment? Are you paying too much for a lead? Are you paying not enough? Do you know what the number is? Right? All of this stuff is important. Number 8, product.
I just have one question.
Mhm.
How do you recommend that people track like physical stuff, like they hand out flyers or they give a discount to the municipal workers or something, right? So that's all online.
Ask. Whenever somebody calls into your business, places an order, there should be a question. How did you hear about us?
Okay.
Train your customer service people, your live chat people on your website. How did you hear about us?
Okay.
To add to her question, on your any paper that you hand out, whether it's a coupon or flyer, whatever, you put something on it so that when it's redeemed, it tracks.
A special code, like your QR code, you can do that. You can put a special code so you know where it came from.
Even online, when somebody purchases online, they can use a certain code, and you know if a certain number of codes were used.
Right.
The other thing too that I want to mention is that there's a lot of measurement with advertising in the social media world, and they're measuring with clicks, they're measuring with shares and likes and everything, but they don't translate into sales. So a lot of people have to recognize that when these people are communicating to you, these companies do these ads, or these influencers are saying how many people they have, it doesn't mean it's sales.
Right, and she's exactly right. She said you have to watch people selling you services, particularly ad services, because they will talk to you about views, versus click through. But you also have to make sure you clearly define your goals before you do any kind of advertising like that, because sometimes you are doing brand awareness, right? Sometimes you're doing lead gen, right? For example, if you're just trying to get people to sign up for a webinar that's free, that's lead gen versus actually running an ad saying, buy this, pay, sign up for my course here, right? So there's different levels of promotion. But I agree with you. You got to be careful. Social media does not convert anywhere near like email does. And email is trackable, right? So these things have to all work together though. But I do agree, you have to watch what people are telling you versus whether or not it's turning into sales.
We don't do it enough, but we do some. You can always ask your clients, and you find people do this with you. When you buy something, you have to say, how'd you hear about us? How'd you find out about us, whatever. So when that sale is made, part of the sales process can be, hey, how'd you find out about us? How'd you get my name? Who told me about you? So that's actually the best way of knowing where that came from. And I do think a lot of times we discount brand awareness. I always say when you look at a pro golfer, and with Tiger Woods and these guys, they don't make money playing golf. They make money for the Nike symbol on their hat. And Nike can't track that 5 people bought it, but they just see their sales went up or down based upon viewership. So there's some
right. There is value in brand awareness, and you do have to do brand awareness if you have a business that no one knows, right? So you do have to do that. And I would just use myself as an example. When I first became the small biz lady, and I started tweeting and answering people's questions and stuff, it was about 2 years before I had brand recognition. It was actually 22 months. I know exactly how long it was, right? So that's how long it took for me using Twitter 9 to 5 like a job before somebody paid any attention to me, before any corporation paid me to do it. Let's just put it that way. So I think it is really important that we think about there is a ramp, you're right, there is a ramp up time. There are reasons why people do rebranding and stuff like that, because whatever message they put out the first time got muddled somewhere, it's not clear. And sometimes you gotta go back. You gotta change your color story. You might need a new graphic, a new logo, or you might need new branding and messaging about who you are and what you do. I'm very fortunate because my name is Melinda Emerson and my nickname is Small Biz Lady and my mission is to end small business failure. That's pretty clear. Y'all know exactly what I do, right? But everybody didn't come up and grow up in marketing and journalism. And it's not as easy for other people to come up with their name, their nickname, and tagline. So it is important for us to think about the value of brand, right? Because you do have to invest in brand awareness before you can invest in sales. So let's talk about products and services. What is it that you sell? And is it what your client needs today? Is it what your client's going to need tomorrow? It's very important for you to stay on top of your industry trends so that you know what technology is coming in your industry that you're going to have to adapt to or that can really save you some time, right? So what's the big thing everyone's talking about right now? This chat GPT. Yeah. How many of you guys are using it already? How many of you guys are dreading one more thing to learn? Just me? Oh, okay. Right? But again, there's some new sauce out here, right? There's something new. Remember 2 years ago, it was Clubhouse, right? Everybody had to learn how to do that. So there's always going to be something else. And that doesn't mean you have to go and do it, but you need to be aware of it, right? Because there's always something coming, and you never know. It really could save you a bunch of time and money, right? So you just want to make sure you're paying attention to the products and services that you're selling because it might be time to remix them. Yes?
I love what you said about making sure that your product is something that is essential to live, that you need, that customers need. I love that a lot. And so I work with Women's Center for Entrepreneurship, and we help a lot of micro entrepreneurs, usually solopreneurs. And for example, what do I say to my clients who have soap? They make soap. And that's definitely not something that's essential, but we have a lot of them who have those types of small things they make from their homes and they sell there. Do you have any advice I can pass to them?
Well, I think it's still about who is the soap for. I think it's about who is their niche customer.
Yes,
because there is a customer that loves handmade soap that will not buy Dove no matter how much they charge for it, right? So I think there is
the niche.
It's the niche, it's the relationship with the customer. You know, there are people that love handmade artisan stuff. So that's the customer they have to find. And that customer, frankly, tends to have a little bit more disposable income too. So I think that they have to really focus on their customer and they have to focus on their existing customers, right? Because in a recession, it's about your people that already love you versus finding new people to love you, right?
Yeah, my name is Alejandra and I'm a banker. I work for Valley. One of the things that I tell my customers is that the best way to fund your business is not through a loan, it's through your customers.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and knowing what your customer wants, the easiness that you have to sell it to them, how they look for you, that goes back to what you were saying of knowing the people, your market study, knowing what you want to do with your customer. Because if you focus on that, and you focus on that in a mindful way, it's going to show up in your tax return, and it's going to help you at the time of loans or whatever you need. But that part that you're mentioning affects the rest that people don't see.
Oh, 100%. You do have to make sure that you're selling something people actually want, right? Or that you know who that is.
I think sometimes also entrepreneurs, we get caught up in describing the product. But what really sells the product is the story behind it.
Right.
Tell the story.
I love that. She said that sometimes we get caught up in the description. We get caught up in the features of a product versus really explaining the story, the why, right? People care about the why story. That's why we started with that, right? So you do want to make sure that you have a good story to tell or that you have a story at all. Even if you got to make up the story, whatever it is, you got to have a story. Because story is how you get the personal connection. They might not remember my name, but they'll remember the story I told about my business, right? So she makes a very, very valuable point. Presence. You do have to have a brand, right? Because anybody can sell products. But you want to build a brand around your business. Because typically we sell more than one thing. So you need a brand. And you need something that you are known for. Extremely important. And this is important online and offline. You do want to think about, do you have an actual logo? Or do you have some bad clip art with a font that you made yourself? And does your stuff look like that? If you have a product, what do your labels look like? If you have a book, what does your book cover look like? Did you go to a Barnes and Noble and pick up the other books in your category? Does your book look like it belongs on that shelf, or does it look like some self-published mess? that screams, I self-published this and it's probably not copy edited properly. Right? It doesn't matter what it is. It's got to be packaged well. And so you want to invest in that. Your website, your logo. You also want to make sure if you haven't updated your website in the last 18 months, it's probably time to do that. And you want to make sure that not only do you have a great website, but that it looks good from a mobile device, because now about 30% of people operate their whole life from a phone. They're not even looking at a laptop. So you have to make sure that your website, your online store, looks good from a mobile device. Very, very, very important. And then let's talk about social media. How many of you guys use social media for your business? Okay. How many of you guys are using 5 social media accounts? How many of you are using 4 social media accounts? 3, 2, 1. All right, well, you guys that are using 1 to 3, you guys are in the right ballpark. Because unless you're selling social media services, you don't need to be on 5 social media accounts, right? You need to be on the 1 or 2 where your best target customers hang out online. I see a lot of people wasting time and money trying to figure out TikTok. Your people ain't on TikTok. What are you on TikTok for? That doesn't mean you don't need to be doing video marketing. I think who's in my phone that is must have stepped out, but that's okay. So you want to make sure that you are doing social media in a way that benefits you. I don't share anything on social media that's not strategic. Nothing. Even though I built my whole brand and my business online. When you think about it, there's very little people actually know about me other than that I am the small business lady. People do know that I have a very handsome son because I like to post pictures of him. But other than that, you have to be really strategic about what you share, particularly about your business. But people love behind the scenes stuff. So they want to see how the soap gets made. They're interested in that. So don't shy away from showing people back office stuff because people are actually interested in it. And by the way, video converts 63% better than any other kind of content you can do. So you might hate video, but baby, turn that phone around and record yourself a video. I am very famous for these 15, 20-second boss tips that I put all over the internet. You heard me say they're 10 to 15 to 20 seconds. I record 5 to 6 of them at a time. My social media team takes them, puts a number on them, puts them on TikTok, puts them on Instagram, and people will stop me in the street. I love your boss tips. Right, so it's 2 outfits to get you 8 videos, right? So think about ways you can. One of the things that I do in my business is I set aside 1 day a week that I just do content. I do videos, I do articles, I figure out my newsletters for the month, like whatever. But I do 1 day a week, I just do content. Now, I develop a whole lot of content. So I don't necessarily want you to compare yourself to me. I publish 3 times a week on my blog. I publish my podcast once a week, as well as my newsletter. So we put out 5 pieces of content a week. That's a whole lot of content. But again, I sell information. So my business has to do that because I draw in clients from doing that. You don't necessarily have to do that. Your newsletter could come out once a month and it'd be good because that's the kind of business you have. So you have to gauge how your customer likes to receive information and when. And you need to pace yourself and get content in the can. My content is always done a month, 2 months in advance. I don't ever write something that you see the next day. And also, too, that's because I really tend to generate what we call evergreen content. So evergreen content is good today, is good next year, is good 2 years from now.
I just started using AI for some of my content. How do you feel about that?
I'm a little nervous about it, but I'm an old school journalist, so it's hard for me to And plus, I do very specific long form content. So I don't know. I mean, I haven't tried it yet. I went to a workshop last week about Chat GPT, and I thought,
That's what I have.
and I was like, are all the articles going to start sounding alike because we're all using Chat GPT? Like, that's what I think. But I haven't tried it, so I'm an old school hater probably.
So the objective behind ChatGPT and all the rest of the AIs is you still have to do your research. You still have to add your tone. You still have to do the work. What it does is it gives you a template of a outline of what to write, but it's not a copy and paste tool because you have to do your research because it does have plagiarism attached to it in some form. So you need to make sure that it has your tone, that it actually matches what you're doing, and that the research is actually completed. So you will still have to work on it, but instead of the brainstorming process and writing it all out and all of that, it cuts that in half, but it still gives you information, but you still have to do your research.
I might answer the question and make the question slightly different.
I think it can help in things like that. I think it can help with like headlines for emails, headlines for things. I just haven't tried it yet because I'm frankly afraid. Because my content is the secret sauce to my whole business. So for me to be letting a machine write my content is like, I'm a little bit like, oh, I don't know about that.
I would say from experience, similar to what she said, is it's more of a template, but it's also about using adjectives and like describing. So you want to say write this in an enthusiastic tone to make people that are trying to persuade. You want to use certain adjectives because that's what triggers the AI really. And like she said, it's not something you really want to copy and paste. It's more template oriented, but those adjectives and those different things definitely change the tone and can help.
I agree. And someone actually told me, because I have so much content on the internet, that what I could do is load my content into ChatGPT so that it could learn me. And so that it could be like, oh, we know how you do things. Okay, so you can teach it. If you have a lot of content, you can teach it your style or whatever.
Just an actual add-on to it. It's like a whole. It's like it has its own ecosystem. So the system that I have set up, like on my desktop, is it has about 4 different apps that it communicates with. So what ends up happening is it pulls from the data from all of that. Because as of right now, ChatGPT actually pulls from stuff around 2021 and a little before that per se. But the way that I have it set up is it pulls like how it would pull from Google. So what you can set it up into the system that way, but yes, you can actually feed it into the system and it will sound like you after a certain amount of time.
We need to talk about maybe
and we have to repurpose it and put it out there.
Okay.
I just wanted to compliment you because as a journalist, I know, I'm not a journalist, but I'm a writer. I know how you would, take your writing and it means a lot to have your expression in something. So I feel.
Oh yes, that's why I'm a little bit like, I don't know about the machines writing for me. I'm a little bit nervous about that. But the point back to what we were talking about is that you have to think about your brand online and offline. What are some of the other ways that your brand can be helped or hurt? Who answers the phone at your business? How responsive are you when people ask for information, ask for a quote? Or when people place an order on your website, how fast do they get their stuff? Everybody has been trained by Amazon that stuff's supposed to come in 2 days, right? So how responsive are you to the orders and things that come into your website? These are all things that affect your brand. One of the things that I do whenever someone orders one of my books off my website, I always write a personal note and put it in there. And amazingly, when people get their book, I'll see they done took a picture of the note, the book, the signature, and put it on Instagram or something. I just got my book from the Small Business Lady. That's branding and advertising I couldn't pay for. But I feel like if you took the time to go to my website and order the book, I'm gonna write you a note so that you know I signed this. Like it wasn't a machine, I did it. There's no stamp. So those are just little things that can help you build your brand. And those are things that you have to be thinking about because there's lots of ways people can get turned on or turned off to your business. Now, let's talk about prospects, sales. Oh, I'm sorry.
Okay, so I'm with the way. That's my mom over there, my boss. And we also are beekeepers. So we sell honey, and sometimes we give a little jar of honey to a potential client or client, and they love it. And one thing we had to fight about is she put on our logo, made by Happy Latino Bees.
Chinese Latino
bees. And I didn't like that, but everyone seems to, they love it. So I keep it, so I'm like, Ma, you did good. And they're like, you're not always right the whole point, you do have to listen to other people, and then listen to the customer, and they love it. So I'm like, Ma, good for you, you did it.
Way to go, Mom. Your moms might know a little something about me. I keep trying to tell my son, I've been through first grade, second grade. I'm like 4 executive education programs and an MBA. Okay? All right, Mom, stop counting. But it's important for you in your business to have a sales process. A lot of times, this is where people get jammed up, right here. You want to hire a salesperson, you ain't got no sales process. You don't have a target list. You don't have a clean database. You got a CRM system that hasn't been updated in 3 years. And then you want somebody to come in and save your business. Doesn't work. You got to put in the work before you bring in a salesperson to help you. But also, too, you have to think about all the stages of a sales process. How do you generate leads? Where does your business come from? Do you have a customer buyer journey? Do you have content, touch points, slide deck, pitch deck, one-pagers? What do you got? If you guys are selling services, you better have all that stuff. If you're selling products, it's a little bit different. But if you're selling services, oh no, you got to have all that stuff. Because you want to be able to quickly get back to somebody. How many of you guys have press kits on yourself? Somebody calls you and asks for a headshot and bio. Do you got one? Do you got one that's under 50 words? I can't tell you how many times people send me their bio and I got to rewrite people's bio because it's crazy. How many words? 50 or less. Right? So what I do is I have a 350-word bio, I have a 100-word bio, and I have a 50-word bio. So when people ask me for it, I send all 3 and let them pick which one they want. So you want to make sure that you have your materials available. You want to make sure that you have a professional headshot every 2 to 3 years. Now, I get one every year because we have lots of pictures of me on the internet. But you do want to make sure that your image and things are ready to go. Whether it's a media opportunity, a sales opportunity, you bringing in salespeople, do you have professional business cards? Can you get some business cards for them too? Right? Costs $60 to get 500 cards now. It's not, there's no barrier to this, right? But you want to set your salespeople up for success, but you want to set yourself up for success. One of the things we do on my website, if you guys go to succeedasyourownboss.com, my main website, I've got several things you can download for free. I've got ebooks. You want 2 free chapters of my latest book? You want to sign up for my newsletter? There's 2 or 3 ways I will get you to give me your contact information. And what is that? That's a lead magnet. That's how we generate leads. We also buy ads. We buy ads on TikTok. We buy ads on Instagram. I also do free webinars every once in a while. That's another lead magnet for us. But when I get ready to sell something, we do stuff completely differently, right? We set up sales funnels for specific things we're selling. I have people that call, follow up with you, make sure you're going to show up for that webinar you signed up for, and then afterwards, we're going to follow up and see, did you want my offer from the webinar? Right? So the sales process, there's a lot to it depending on what you're trying to do. So have you thought about your sales process that specifically? Right? Because it's really important. So make sure that you have a sales system in your business, because sales it's like the heart pumping in your body. It's the engine that's driving your whole business. So you have to make sure. And the other thing about sales is a lot of times people feel like, well, I don't want to sell. It feels sleazy. No. You're not, don't even think about it as selling. You should think about it as I'm helping my customer. My customer doesn't know how to effectively communicate with small business owners. That's where I come in. I help them build authentic marketing communication strategies to effectively reach the small business market. That's what my strategic company, my consulting company does.
So do you have any advice? Again, we help micro entrepreneurs, all women, mostly women, and women in particular seem to have a specific challenge with closing. They say, I get all the way to the finish line and I just don't know how to close. Do you have any advice?
I have lots of advice about that.
Let's hear it.
Well, actually, it's not anything one thing, right?
Yeah.
But I have a whole chapter in my book, Become Your Own Boss in 12 Months, about how to develop a sales process and how to close. So mostly you have to make sure in any sales meeting, you always close with next steps. When can we get started is a great question to close with. What's your timeline? What's your budget, right? You want to make sure that they're asking questions that lead to a sale. Because sometimes you can just be having a great conversation. So you want to make sure that you're marching down to, well, when can we get started? That's a close, but that's a soft close. It's not a high pressure.
Contract, right?
Yeah. I will send you the contract this afternoon. It's not that, right? So you have to make sure that you tell them, always have your closing questions. They should have at least 3, right? If they dodge the first one, come back with the second one. They dodge that one, come back with the third.
I need your card.
Okay.
A good question is, how are you going to go about making this decision?
Yeah.
So see, if I ask you, are you going to make the decision? Make sure, I've got people go, I don't know. Because are you going to make it yourself? You have to talk to 3 other people. Then you're not the decision maker. Don't talk to that person.
Right.
Can I help you when you talk to that person? Can I be within the room with you? How are you going to make the decision? Sees where they are in the process. You may be at the close, but they may be like, I'm getting information to go to the close. No, that you want to be in that room. So how do I do that? How can I help you with that? Hey, would you like me in the room to help you with that? Because I know the product better than you do. I'll support you in that effort.
I agree with that. But again, you should have a meeting with somebody who's not the decision maker.
Absolutely.
Right? Because there's a bunch of tire kickers out here. There's a bunch of people that will waste your time. So you got to clarify that you're talking to somebody that can sign the check, right? That's it.
I have a question.
Yes.
I don't know if you're gonna hit this later. How do you deal with referrals? Do you?
You have to ask for them.
Okay.
And you have to routinely ask for them. And so many people can get so much more business if they just ask for help.
Yeah. And do you give a digit to the person who referred you? Hey, if you refer 3 people my way.
Absolutely. You can create a loyalty program, sure. That's a great way to incentivize referral. But the first thing you have to do is ask for the referral. Just like you had to ask for the business, right? You had to ask for the referral. And you have to, at very least, you need to ask for a review. But then you need to ask for the referral, especially if they were a happy client. Absolutely. Because what will happen is you can turn your clients into an unpaid sales force. I mean, I know businesses that survive completely on referrals. So there's an art to it. You had a question? Oh, okay. I thought you were doing.
I just have something I heard a long time ago that I've seen work a lot is that most sales fail because people don't ask for the sale.
Absolutely. Yes. You have to ask for the business. Absolutely, it's true. So let's talk about planning. I realize that a lot of times we write business plans like when we're going to get funding when we first start our business. But when's the last time you guys updated your business plan or at least developed a strategic plan? Maybe a marketing plan? Anything? Okay, well, you need that, right? Because if you develop a plan and you put goals on it, you're far more likely to accomplish it. So do I think you need a 40-page manifesto? No. Do I think you need 2 or 3 pages that are going to lay out what your target clients are for this year and how you plan to get them and what your plans are in terms of what marketing initiatives you're going to invest in this year and how much money you're going to spend on marketing every month? Yeah, you need that. You need that document. So do yourself a favor. We're still in January. Sit down and write this document so you can get clear. Because how many of you guys get in a car to go somewhere that you've never been before without your GPS? Never. So why would you run your business without GPS? You wouldn't get in your car and drive to go meet your girlfriends for lunch without cutting your GPS on your phone. How many of y'all use Waze or use Google Maps, whichever one y'all use, right? So don't run your business without one. Don't. You're far more likely to accomplish your goals if you write them down. So do that. And lastly, perseverance. We're about to be in a tough year, right? Everybody's got a plan until they get punched in the mouth. And what kind of punches could you get? Oh, you could get your bank terming out your line of credit. They did that to people in 2009. So all of a sudden you could lose your liquidity, right? You could lose your biggest customer because they've laid off people, and that's as good as you getting laid off. Right? Your key employee, that's your right-hand man, could decide they need to go back into corporate America and leave you. Those are some of the punches you can get.
What did you say kills your liquidity?
They could take your line of credit.
Oh, they just pull it?
They pull it.
Oh, really?
That's what they did to people in 2009.
And banks do it?
Banks, that's who issues lines of credit. Mm-hmm.
Well, I mean, like a supplier can give me a line of credit.
Oh, well,
right?
suppliers are a little bit different, but banks, they can absolutely pull lines of credit.
Really?
That's how we knew the big recession was coming, because they pulled small business lines of credit first. Because the banks did it, because the banks caused the meltdown. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Ask me how I know. They pulled my line. That's how I know. So I'm telling you, we all have to get ready for perseverance.
How do you protect against something like that, though?
Save more money.
Oh, just have more capital, right?
More
that
capital, more
belongs to
marketing.
you. Yeah.
More capital, more marketing. One of the things you don't want to do is stop marketing. The people who won during the pandemic, the people who kept on marketing, the people who knew how to sell and market online. Those are the people who won during the pandemic. Everybody didn't lose. There were some people who won.
Oh, yeah.
So again, don't stop marketing, please.
What's the difference between sales and marketing?
Okay, I'm going to put on my professor hat for you. Marketing is anything you do to generate awareness or sales. Sales is actually transactions.
Oh, okay.
Right, so marketing is all this stuff out here. Mm-hmm. It's your website, it's your blogs, it's your podcast, it's media interviews, it's PR, it's, right? But a sale is just that.
Okay. Very specific.
When money is transacted, right?
Mm-hmm. Okay.
That's it.
Okay.
So I have some resources that I want to offer you guys. I have an ebook, How to Recession-Proof Your Small Business. You guys can download it today, right now. You can go to my website, succeedasyourboss.com/recession. I have some very specific tips in there to help you get ready for what we're going through right now. Because depending on your industry, you might already be feeling it, but you're definitely going to feel it in 6 months. So please download this free resource that I have for you. Everybody got it? All right, you got it? Now, here are some action steps I want you guys to think about. Number one, decide, are you ready to fix your business? If you are, I want to help you. I want you to think about why you're in business and that good brand story you're going to be out here telling people so that they remember you. I also want you to think about your ego. Is your ego what's hurting your business? Remember, what kind of boss are you? Refresh your brand, online or offline. It's time. You want to make sure people are paying attention about what's new about your business. And review what systems in your business you can automate. Remember, we talked about documenting those processes and then looking at, well, okay, what it is can we stop doing? So here's the deal. Fix it now or fix it when you can. Just promise me you will fix it.
Do you mind going back to the last line? I just need to get them.
Sure.
In the automate thing, could you also say /outsource? Because
absolutely,
if you're selling a product, like you use Amazon, right? So you've outsourced the supply and distribution and movement of that product without you having to do a whole lot, but you're giving someone to do that.
Right.
So it may cost you X to do that. Where if you had an in-house, you have to have inventory, people doing it. There's a lot of things you can outsource that helps you utilize your small talent base to do the things that generate more sales and business.
100%. Unless your business is accounting, you should not be doing your own bookkeeping, right? I mean, and even if you're doing marketing, like I am a marketer, but I pay people to do my marketing. Like I don't have time. I produce the message, and the output of that you see all over the internet is done by others. I have no idea how to post my stuff to YouTube. No idea. Don't want to know, right? I pay people for that, right? So that's something important for you to think about.
Ms. Emerson,
Yes.
how often do you tell people, like when you say rebrand, you don't mean a whole logo rebrand, do you?
I do if you need it.
Okay. How often do you tell people?
I mean, it depends. If your logo looks dated or if there's something new about your business, update it. I mean, sometimes people create a business, like I'll use PNC Bank as an example. So PNC used to stand for Pittsburgh National Bank because it started in Pittsburgh. But then eventually they wanted to go national. They went regional, then they went national. So they rebranded themselves PNC Bank. And there's nothing about Pittsburgh even associated with their brand anymore, other than the fact that their headquarters is still in Pittsburgh. So you see what I mean by depending on what you called your business, you might need to do a DBA under another name, right? And rebrand that. Like for example, my first company is Quintessence Entertainment Inc. because we were a video production company originally. Later on, we changed it to a DBA, Quintessence Group. I mean, I did that like 15 years ago. But the point is that sometimes you want to adjust or change your name. Or maybe you want to change your brand story, your color story. Right? 3 years ago, we changed ours to orange, black, and white. For years, I used to do everything in blue and gold. For those of you that have been following me for years, y'all remember when everything was blue and gold, right? So we decided to change everything to orange, black, and white 3 years ago. So again, sometimes it's just a color story update. Sometimes it's a full logo. Sometimes it's a tagline update. It really just all depends.
I love what you said about outsourcing and hiring. How did you cross the hurdle when you didn't have the funding to do that? What advice, again, always for my clients?
Sure.
Yeah.
Well, in the early days.
Yes.
Before I was the small biz lady, I was just small biz lady. I had volunteers and people that helped me. I had friends in the industry that would give me their time and help. I did it all by myself at first. And then eventually I got, 2 people that helped me do stuff. Eventually I was able to hire a virtual assistant. Now I have a team of 8 people that work for me. But I, every inch is a mile, right? So I had to, grow when I could. But now it's like a machine. But back then, I did everything in the beginning. And that's what was very valuable because I have a journalism degree, right? So developing content was easy. For a lot of people, that's their hardest part. But that wasn't hard for me. So I have some books here. So the content that I gave you guys today is all in the books and workbooks in the back. So I would love it if you guys would make sure I didn't have to lug them home today. That'd be great. And my first book, Become Your Own Boss in 12 Months, I have with me as well. So I have really appreciated my time. I think we've had a very fruitful conversation today. And here's my contact information. If you guys need to get in touch with me after today, take a picture of this slide and connect with me on all the platforms. I'm on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, all that stuff. And I'm Small Business Lady on all of them. Except for LinkedIn, my actual name, Melinda Emerson. They won't let me be Small Business Lady on LinkedIn.
Yes.
Okay. All right, thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us. Definitely a great message. And
I love the
important
interaction
stuff.
with everyone. I love the questions. They were great.
Okay. Great. So thank you again. I think she deserves another applause. So, earlier I mentioned our job is to supercharge your day. And what does that mean? That means you should be leaving here a lot more energized, excited about your business in a way that you're going to go take what you learned, take the connections that you made, and be more excited and more successful in your business, because that's what we do this for, and that's what it's all about. So again, Andrew Frazier, Small Business Pro and CFO, founder of the Small Business Pro University, and actually this is one of our Brain Trust initiatives. We focus on helping entrepreneurs and business owners raise their intellectual capital so they can run their business like a pro. Thanks for joining us online. Thank you for joining us here.